Hello and welcome to another of our World of Work interview with videos. It's my pleasure to deliver another session to you and to share the different experiences and routes into various different career paths with you, the students. Today I've got Aarifah with me, and it's going to be really interesting to hear what she's been through and to kind of her route into her profession. So without further ado, we're going to get started in the questions. So Aarifah, what are you doing now, and kind of, what did you do in order to get there? What was the course that you did?
Hi, well, I'm currently a PCSO, so I am a Police Community Support Officer. Now, before I became a PCSO, I studied at university, so I studied criminal investigation with policing studies in investigative management. It's a bit of a mouthful, so I apologise for that in advance. So I'd originally started studying at university and I wanted to join the police. I knew that already, but I'd applied to become a special constable, which it took a few attempts, I admit, to actually pass the application process. But eventually I'd got in and I was in my final year of university. Now, whilst I was sort of training to be a special, I actually applied to become a police constable, so a PC, and unfortunately that application I had got to the very last stage and I'd failed by only 1%, and it was really frustrating, honestly. So I carried on with my special constable training and it actually got postponed due to COVID. So that was very frustrating, but because my application for police constable had actually only been, I suppose, 1% off, they'd offered the role of PCSO to me, and I thought, well, it'd be a bit silly to pass up on an opportunity like that. I'm finishing university, it'd be nice to go into a full-time job, and I'd get experience from it. So that's where I am today.
No, fantastic. And then just, I want to touch on something that you brought up there. When you say, the application to be a constable and kind of, you said it took a few goes in, just
Yes.
to get onto your course, kind of what is it, kind of like a normal application process that, students might go through for UCAS, or is it something completely different?
So to become a PCSO, I know the application is slightly different. However, I didn't go through that application because I'd gone through the PC route. So for that, essentially, now to become a police constable, you need to have a degree. However, there's also an option for people who don't have the degree. So there's an apprenticeship scheme, whereas your university course is paid for, which is absolutely brilliant. I wish that had come out when I was joining. So there's that route, or if you do have a degree, there's what I've applied on, which is the DHEP, so the degree holder, something or another. I can't remember. But, so there's that, and you do get a diploma with that, I suppose, on top of the degree that you already have, which is good. Yeah. Sorry, I wish I could tell you more about the application process.
No, that's fine. But what about the application process in order for doing the, to get onto the degree? Obviously, did you do like A levels before? Did you do BTECs? What was kind of your route in order to, before moving on to university?
So for A levels, I did English language. This feels like I'm going back years, to be honest. I feel really old now. So I did English language, I did sociology, I did IT, and I did public services. And I remember to get into university, I had to do so many points. I think it was 104 UCAS points to get onto my course. But then when I'd applied to become a PC, that application process was you have your initial sort of interviews, you go through it that way, and then you have so you'll have a telephone interview, and you'll also have an interview in person as well as a presentation. So it's a lot of preparation, it is a lot of hard work, and there are structures that you need to follow within your sort of interview questions, sort of like I'm not following now at all. So you have your interviews, you have a presentation, and then you have an assessment centre at the end, which I suppose is seen as almost the most challenging, depending on, I suppose, what your preferences are. Some people really like interviews, whereas some people really dislike them. I'm one of those people who dislikes interviews, actually. But the assessment centre, it has changed due to COVID. The original assessment centre, it was in person, so you'd go to sort of I think it's in Coventry somewhere, and essentially you have a maths test, you have sort of an English test, you get given different scenarios, so loads of different things all in one day, and you get told to pass or fail after so many weeks. And that was the one I'd originally failed by 1% on. It was probably the maths, because I'm not incredible at maths, unfortunately. But then the second assessment centre that I did, the second application, it was I've got to remember now. So it was online, and there was a written exercise, there was a briefing exercise, and there was also the interview. However, that interview was pre-recorded in terms of the questions, so you're not actually speaking to a person sort of in real time. It's all done beforehand, and then you're recorded, you press submit, and your answers are submitted. But in terms of the written and the briefing, it's as long as you prepare for everything. I know it's very hard to prepare for things sometimes, because you think, but I got loads of support from officers sort of at the station, especially from officers who work in recruitment. I did have a lot of support, which was really appreciated.
No, that's fantastic. And again, the fact that you don't like interviews, I'm really grateful for you being able to do this interview with us today. But also, really interesting the route that you take, and kind of perhaps people don't realize just how involved English and maths. It's not kind of like, oh yeah, you can forget them, just ignore them if you want to get into the police. It's, it doesn't matter. It actually does, and it can make a huge difference. So I think that's really interesting that you shared that. So thank you. And then just thinking about, your time at university on your degree, what kind of skills do you think you were able to develop and pick up, and kind of, how have they sort of helped you sort of even today?
So at university, my course had practical elements to it, as well as sort of your standard essays that you have to write. Now essays, of course, everyone usually gets an essay at some point in their life. So we had those, but when it comes to practicals or maybe group assignments, a lot of that is down to teamwork. Now, in the police, teamwork is very important. You need to know what your team are doing in order to just get a successful outcome. That could be even if you're engaging with a local school, it could be you're dealing with a crime, and there's so many different types of crimes, and having a good team around you is really important. So I suppose in university, even if it's something like a group presentation, for example, and everyone has to decide which bits they're doing and when the deadlines are, and then there's always going to be one person who doesn't actually do what they need to, but then I suppose that's when you come in and you think, okay, well, why can't you do it? You speak through it and maybe find out something's happened and they're not able to. It's honestly communication, teamwork are the main things.
No, I think, yeah, the sort of transferable skills almost that would be applied to, any job out there, but particularly so vital and crucial for your degree and, into the police force. So no, I think that's great you've been able to highlight them. And then, is there kind of like one thing that you'd perhaps want to, share as a piece of advice or like a word of warning for anybody who's perhaps thinking of pursuing, going into the police force or, going into your specific degree?
I would say do as much preparation as you can in terms of looking what the job expects from you, what your course at university or school expects from you, and just be prepared in that sense. But also, I suppose if you're joining into the police, get to know a little bit about the force that you're joining, potentially where different stations are, and even try and meet some of the people you may be working with in the future. And I'm sure, you know, that'll put you in good stead for when you do join. But I suppose fitness is one thing I would say, definitely keep on top of. Even as a PCSO, I've found myself running after people. I think I've chased someone for about half a kilometre before in my full uniform, in my full kit, and I don't think I was even feeling very well that day, so I didn't feel great after it happened, but in the end it paid off, and we'd managed it. I won't take credit, I didn't catch the person, but someone else did. But we're back to teamwork again, definitely. But fitness is one of the things.
I mean, I still think it's incredible with, you know, the amount of stuff that you have to sort of wear and carry. I think, yeah, running, you know, half a kilometre just without all that stuff, I'm not sure if I could do. So, you know, I think you should definitely take the credit for it. But no, I think that's, you know, really great for you to share. And then, you know, the last question to finish up on, it's not, well, it's quite a mean question for a lot of the students that are still currently studying, but obviously you've got your job in the PCSO, got that right. What's next? You know, what's kind of like the long-term plans? What would you like to move into after this? Would you like to try and have another go at being a constable, or have you got your eyes on like a different route now?
So if you would have asked me this question, I think so many years ago when I was in school, I would have said to you, okay, I want to join the police as a police constable, and then I want to work my way up through the ranks as fast as I can. However, now I've joined, I think I've actually realised I don't want to do that. In the long run, I would like to move up through the ranks. However, I've realised getting the experience, even as a PCSO, there's so many things to learn, and I think going into all the different roles in the police, that, you know, we have different sort of teams for different things which specialise in, for example, searching. We have plainclothes officers, and just getting that experience before moving up in the ranks, I think would be a really good thing for me. And I never expected that to happen, because I suppose before joining, I didn't realise that there were so many options to do.
No, and I think that seems fair enough. It's not. I think what we're finding now, it's not always just a linear, you know, one straight line approach. Sometimes it does take things in, you know, unpredictable ways, but it's also good to kind of embrace those paths and kind of, you know, see where it goes, but also take your time with it. There's, you know, we're going to be working for a long time, it seems. You might as well sort of, you know, enjoy it and take your time at times rather than just sort of rush to the end. So no, I think that's definitely, you know, some really great and, you know, really great points to raise, and it's been really nice to hear about your experience. So, you know, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us, and then best of luck, you know, out there, and
thank you.
Sort of, you know, we'll let you get back onto sort of the day job, and yeah, just thank you so much for your time again.
Thank you for yours as well.
And then thank you for you guys for watching and listening. Hope you know, you've been able to take a lot from this interview. If, you know, the policing is an option that you're considering, then please do your research, you know, listen to everything that's been shared today and kind of take it on board, and, you know, go through the various different resources that you may need. But also, you know, don't forget that we've got loads and loads and loads of other interviews in this interview with series. So please take a look at that in kind of different areas that might interest you. Don't forget to sort of talk to your teachers and your careers counsellors, and they'll be able to help you with a lot of different things as well. Also head over to the Pathways website, where we've got a lot of different resources for you. But in terms of today, thank you very much for listening, and we shall see you soon. Bye-bye.